And I'm Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio.
where we talk all about the happiest place on earth. That's right. Don't adjust your sets. Don't adjust your ears. We are not talking about Walt Disney. Yeah, we are. We're not talking about Walt Disney World today. We're talking about
Disneyland.
Whoa!
We're gonna talk about, comparisons.
Yeah, I mean, we are primarily, as you know why you're here.
Yeah.
We're primarily Disney World folk. We are locals to the Disney World. And that's the one that we've been going to since we were kids. So this is, I would say, our home park conclusively.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
However, Morgan has made now how many?
What?
Trips to Disneyland.
Oh, including the ones when I was a kid?
Sure.
Maybe 5.
Maybe 5, yeah. So, Morgan's got some Disneyland experience, and I am a Disneyland admirer, I would say is a good word for how I feel about Disneyland.
I have a lot of hopes and dreams to visit all of the Disney parks at some point.
Me too.
Yeah. We're, first and foremost, Disney park fans.
Of course, but we'll always also be Disney World people at heart.
Well, oh, for sure. Because it's always going to have the nostalgia.
Yeah, nothing else is ever going to be, oh my gosh, that's been there since I was a kid.
Right. I remember writing that when I was like 5.
Yeah, and although Disneyland has been there since before either of us have been born, it's never going to have that, that personal childhood nostalgia.
Right.
It's just going to have, a real sense of, history and legacy behind it. That's kind of the flip side.
And a bunch of exciting stuff that we don't have at our park.
Yeah, there are differences, which honestly to me is what makes Disneyland as an idea so compelling to me.
Absolutely.
Is that it's not only was it the original Disney park, so it's got that history and legacy, but it also has some major differences to Disney World that make me I just cannot wait to get out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And some of the stuff that they have that is the same isn't the same, and it's different, and their version is better, or our version is better, and how interesting. You know what I mean?
I would say something that I hear when I am researching or talking with my Disney friends about the differences between the parks. One of the main things that always comes up is the idea that Disneyland feels more intimate and charming. Disneyland feels more intimate and charming than Walt Disney World in some way. And I don't know if that's the historical appeal of it, the fact that Walt, had such a huge, it was his baby. And he personally spent a lot of time there. So there's that personal, charm that comes with it. Or if it's just because it is geographically smaller than the sprawling Walt Disney World. You've been.
Yeah, it also has less people.
Right.
I mean, less visitors.
Right. Yeah, by far. Walt Disney World is consistently the most visited tourist destination. So it really, in America, so it really, that we have a huge flow of people that come and go. So what do you think? You've been there many times. Would you call Disneyland a more intimate experience than Disney World?
I don't think I would have used the word intimate. It makes it seem like while you're in the midst of it, it seems smaller, and it seems like there are a ton less people, and I'm aware that there are a lot less people, and I'm aware that it is smaller. But when you're in the middle of it, it's big. It seems like a lot is packed into that, smaller space. And we went in October, and the lines were crazy long. So I don't know about, I realize, again, I'm aware of the statistics, but it never felt like, oh, this is such an empty park compared to what I'm used to.
Right. Okay. So fair enough. So
I guess it's not so spread out. It definitely doesn't have that spread out feeling that Walt Disney World does.
Disney World sometimes to me surprises me, and I've been coming my whole life for over 20 years. I am sometimes still surprised at how big the property of Walt Disney World is.
Yes.
From Magic Kingdom to Animal Kingdom, or
oh my gosh,
there are some times where I'm taking journeys from one point on property to another point, whether that's resort, park, what have you. And I just think to myself, gosh, that was a longer trip than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
Just
gosh,
because,
I needed to plan an hour in between this and that because it's like 20 minutes to get there and then you have to park and then you have to walk or even if you're taking a
yeah.
bus or something, it's far.
And there are
I
some things that are
agree.
30 minutes or more apart from each other in Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that's,
very spread out.
yeah, it's more property than you think there is there. They say all the time, or I read all the time, that Walt Disney World is bigger square foot wise than San Francisco, or the same as San Francisco, which is
7 miles by 7 miles, which is we went to San Francisco when we were there, and that's what the tour guide told us.
mm-hmm.
Now, if he told us incorrectly, you'll have to, message me on Instagram and let me know. But
Sure.
but that's what we were told on the tour of San Francisco. We went to San Francisco in large part to see the Walt Disney Family Museum that Diane Disney created, and that was also amazing. If you're ever in San Francisco, I highly recommend it. I have not heard that comparison, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
This says it's huge. The size of the entire Walt Disney World Resort is 40 square miles, or the size of San Francisco. So that is crazy different from what you just said. So I wonder, wonder if this is one of those often misreported statistics or something.
yeah. Yeah. What an interesting comparison. But anyway, what I found in the differences in getting from one park to another, this was a huge bonus for me.
Mm-hmm.
When we went last time, our Disneyland day was one day out of this California trip that we did, and it was kind of put in there because I am such a Disney fanatic that it was hard to go to California and not do Disneyland.
Yeah.
So we did one day, and we got a park hopper, we got Genie Plus, and because of the way Genie Plus works, and also I had a priority list of the things I wanted to go on, and because of the way it works, where I had things that I had to go on, so I had to maybe book a lightning lane that was in Disneyland Park and then book a lightning lane that was in California Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a virtual queue to see World of Color. There was a lot of back and forth. We actually wound up going back and forth between those two parks like 5 times. Now, that's not something you could physically do in Disney World. Or you could, but it would be your literal
I was going to say, that sounds like impossible. Because, like, for us, even if you're doing, let's say you're doing Magic Kingdom to Epcot and you're doing the monorail, even if you're doing that, and we had this experience recently going from Epcot to Magic Kingdom, you still have to change monorails at the Ticket and Transportation Center. And it ends up taking you, like, at the very least, over half an hour to get from Epcot to Magic Kingdom, probably closer to, 45 minutes-ish.
Yes.
So, like, and those are the two, I would say, closest parks, maybe other than Epcot and Hollywood Studios, which is a Skyliner array, which you're still talking 30 minutes.
You could actually walk that.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
But the Skyliner experience or the boat experience, you're still talking 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like,
and there's a Skyliner stop too.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to get off the Skyliner and get on another Skyliner to get from Epcot to Hollywood Studios or vice versa.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. It was why the concept of them being legitimately across from each other and just being, steps away. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so close. It was just wild for me. So that was great. That was really great.
I mean, talk about if you're someone who is maybe going for just 2 days or something and you're trying to experience everything, I would say the flexibility to be able to kind of dodge in and out of the parks as you go, like, in order to make Genie Plus really work for you.
Yes.
I think it is like an option that adds such a sense of value to the experience because you really feel like you're getting a taste of everything with this, Genie Plus experience.
And with Genie Plus, you really need to have a priority list.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the Spider-Man ride, the Indiana Jones. We wanted to do Haunted Mansion Holiday. We wanted to do Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Then we wanted to do it again when it was Monsters After Dark, which was their Halloween overlay. So I had to make it, because like with the Monsters After Dark thing, obviously you couldn't book that until later, because
Right.
they didn't even start doing it until after dark. They actually started doing it a little before dark, but you know.
Yeah.
But yes, so we were back and forth, and yeah, it was very cool though. The flexibility and ability to do that was really amazing.
Yeah, that is like, I would say the proximity between the parks is, honestly, it's for me a huge thing I'm looking forward to in terms of not only like logistically, but also I love the idea of neighboring parks that are like, that provide somewhat different experiences, but can be consumed as one package.
Right.
I feel like in Walt Disney World, yes, Walt Disney World is one package, but there's something so prohibitive about, if you're trying to do like something in Epcot in the morning and Animal Kingdom in the afternoon, like you're talking about a lot of transportation time.
Yeah, you have to block out like an hour.
Yeah, so that's a big difference between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Another thing that jumps to my brain when I kind of think about the difference is the castle.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about, I mean, the icons of, these two resorts, Walt Disney
Yes.
World and Disneyland. Our Cinderella castle, obviously, is a lot bigger
Big
than
and yes.
Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Right.
But what did you think when you saw Sleeping Beauty Castle?
So when you're used to the Walt Disney World castle and all of its glory, and you walk in and you see Sleeping Beauty's castle, it's almost shocking how small it looks
Mm-hmm.
by comparison and what you're used to. That being said, I love what they did with the inside of it. I love that you can read about the history. You know what I mean? I love that Walt
Yeah.
was there. Inside they have like, what, I don't know what are they called? The inside of it, where you can see the different scenes.
Oh, the Sleeping Beauty, not shadow boxes?
No, it's bigger than that. But anyway,
Oh,
so
you're talking about the walkthrough?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the windows are called. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that whole interior experience. Yeah, but it's very cool.
They do call it the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough, but
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, and there's lots of like plaques, and you can read about the history and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is amazing. I do love the feeling of being there when being there and being somewhere that Walt really was.
Mm-hmm.
He really had a hand in.
Yeah, do you feel like that adds, what does it add? Does it add nostalgia? Does it add, or is it like a sense of historical importance? Like, what
Historical
is it?
importance, honestly, a bit of sadness, but like do you know what I mean?
I do.
Like I always wish that with everything we got from Walt Disney, that he could have experienced Walt Disney World. So I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Like, obviously, because we are such devotees to all things Disney, Disney parks, Disney movies, like these things are the cornerstones of our childhood and the cornerstones of what we do for, entertainment and for leisure in our current lives. Because we have so much love for the Disney brand,
you feel a connection.
It makes you want to,
an appreciation.
Yeah, you have such an appreciation for the mind that gave us, the foundations for all the things that we know and love today. So I think I would feel that even more in Disneyland. Mm-hmm. So that totally checks out that you're saying you can kind of feel the difference there, because in Disney World, I do feel the distance between, obviously Disney World was being constructed toward the end of Walt's life, and the completion of it was overseen by Roy, his brother.
Right.
So like you kind of feel a degree of separation.
A few years later.
Right.
Yeah.
So you feel a degree of separation between the visionary and the product. In Disneyland, I can only imagine that there is, an enhanced sense of closeness.
Right, and you can just kind of look up at above the fire station area on Main Street, is where he had a little apartment up there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how cool is it just to look up there and think that,
Yeah, and look at that light that they keep on
Right.
for him. I mean, the traditions of all of that feels like deeply cultural and awesome. Um, Another thing that I kind of am envious of for Disneyland is that they have the versions of attractions that Walt had direct input for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was in the room with he was in the room with these Imagineers as they were developing these attractions that we have versions of here.
Right.
But he was the one who was literally taking boat rides through and thinking, okay, I'd like this to be a little different.
Yeah.
That personal touches, you know,
a lot in some cases.
yeah,
You know
so like some of these attractions we're talking about are It's a Small World, the Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, these things that Walt had a direct hand in the development of and oversaw the construction of. And in some cases can be pretty different from, have their differences from the Walt Disney World version. What ride comes to mind when I'm talking about like rides that exist in both Disneyland and Walt Disney World, but have, some disparities between?
So Haunted Mansion is the first one that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Okay, mainly because of Haunted Mansion Holiday, which we are wildly jealous of.
Yeah.
And that's where, if you're not familiar, Jack Skellington comes in and Nightmare Before Christmas takes over the entire attraction, and it gets completely like redone in a way that it's still the same ride that it was, but now with basically all new characters.
Yeah.
And but in addition to that, even if you don't go during the holiday months that is going on, then the outside of the Haunted Mansion is completely different. The outside of the one in Disneyland is like a New Orleans mansion.
Right.
And then ours has more of a spooky look to it.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different colors, completely different everything.
Yeah. It's the difference between the plantation style and the Victorian era kind of mansion that we have.
Our stretching room elevator, I believe, goes down and theirs goes up, or maybe that's vice versa.
Ours just doesn't move. It's the actual room is stretching, as opposed to,
there you go,
in Disneyland, it's an elevator because of the train tracks. And in terms of Haunted Mansion Holiday, I don't think there's anything I'm more jealous of, just because not only does Disneyland have, from everything that I've heard and from what you've told me, the superior Haunted Mansion. Not only that, because they have the Hatbox Ghost, because they have, some differences in the actual ride itself. The fact that during the holiday months, it turns into this completely different ride, and has since 2001, and like, I don't see why we don't have this. I don't see why Walt Disney World doesn't get this. But the fact that they get a completely different ride, and I love The Nightmare Before Christmas, it just makes me so jealous.
It's very interesting because
Tokyo gets this too.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that they would decide to change it in Disneyland, which has such rooted history that it's so important to them. And then here they're like, oh no, we're not going to do that. And I feel like,
for the copy,
I feel like, yeah, but if you're going to change it somewhere, I feel like it would make more sense to change it here.
The copy, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense that the one that is the original, that one I would understand. I mean, Walt said, the parks aren't museums, you can't keep them the same. But if there's one that like has more historical significance, it's obviously the Disneyland one.
Right.
So it's
and
crazy
that's what they
to
did
me.
With Tower of Terror as well.
Oh,
they left ours for
Ours was the first one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do believe so.
So, like, I like that they kept the first one original. Yeah. And I don't need it to be in every park around the world.
That actually makes a lot more sense, because we can't have Avengers Campus because of the whole issue with Universal.
Sure, yeah, that totally makes sense.
At least for right now, nowhere in the U.S. East of the Mississippi can have, like, another ride. So...
Right, that they can't have the characters that are represented in Marvel Superhero Island.
Yes, in
Islands of Adventure in Universal Studios.
So since they already have a Spider-Man ride, we're never going to get a Spider-Man ride. Since they already have a Hulk ride, we're never getting a Hulk ride and all of that.
X-Men, Fantastic Four.
Never's not. I could imagine something will happen eventually, but for right now, we can't have Avengers Campus. So if they're going to put something Guardians in over there, that makes sense. We get Guardians because they don't have it, but I don't think we'll get the whole campus.
I've got to say, I love Spider-Man. He's probably my favorite Marvel superhero, but a close second for me, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy so
I
dearly.
do, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite
So
because
I'm
the humor
actually, yeah, and the music.
and the music.
I'm actually really glad that we ended up, if we had to end up with one, I'm really
Mhm.
glad we ended up with
Yeah, I
Guardians.
love Doctor Strange too. I wonder if we could get a Doctor Strange thing. They
I love Wanda.
in Hollywood studios. Yes, I love Wanda too. In Hollywood studios, there was a Doctor Strange meet and greet that they did on the sly back in the
I
day,
love this
where they
story.
did not even publish that they were doing it. You'd have to kind of like be in the know.
I wish Disney did more stuff like that.
I don't know why they did it. They do it like, were they doing it and they weren't allowed to do it? Were they just seeing if they got in trouble?
Maybe they were testing the waters, but like I'm sure there's some type of logistical. Disney has so much information we don't have that I'm sure there's a reason, but I I wish there was more word of mouth stuff. I wish there was more. I mean, the internet obviously has made it so that that kind of thing is hard to maintain.
Yeah, us. I mean, we're personally doing stuff where we would be bringing word of mouth stuff to the public. But
Absolutely. Then that's what I mean. Like
yeah,
things like podcasts and
hmm
things like TikTok have made it hard, and YouTube have made it hard for them to maintain that. But that is an example of something that most people didn't know about. So
right.
I'm glad it existed, and I'm hopeful that there is more stuff that there is a level of um there is a level of cool individualism that exists when Disney doesn't publish stuff. Like when Disney doesn't say there's going to be, you know, you weren't expecting to meet Max Goof in Epcot today, but you got to because Disney was doing, a random one-off
That just
character meet
happened to
and greet, which
us.
just happened to us, and was super cool.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff, I think for pass holders is like really cool to keep things interesting and fresh,
yeah,
but also like to provide some cool individual memories for the once in a lifetime visitors as well. So,
absolutely.
I like when Disney does stuff like that. If they can do more Marvel stuff like that and get away with it, I would think they already would be doing it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, but it is
Maybe.
cool that a big difference right now is that Disneyland gets Marvel.
Yes. But so back to the Haunted Mansion, that is the thing that I am probably the most jealous of as well.
Hmm.
I would say Pirates is another one that is wildly different from one park to another.
Can you explain the difference?
Absolutely. So the middle section of Pirates is the same.
Hmm.
So the part, oh, so the part where the you see the ship and the cannons are firing and stuff like that, but the beginning is different in that there you go through a bunch of scenes in Disneyland. The one in Disneyland is much longer.
It's in a bayou, right?
Yeah.
That's what the whole thing is. It's you start your journey in the bayou and then
And
you
you go by a restaurant.
end up in the Caribbean or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more of a journey. For the Disney World one, it's much more succinct, the
Hmm.
story.
Yeah.
It's not. It spends less time on the immersing you into the world of pirates. It's just like cannonballs,
You're
let's
there.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very take a plunge into the
Right.
pirate scene. Yeah, I'm a little jealous of the. I've never seen anything of the Pirates ride in Disneyland. So I am excited to experience it just to take a bit longer to appreciate the ambiance of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I like the idea of having something that's a little bit more of a slower, more immersive version of Pirates. That sounds fun.
And there are some scenes that just are different that are very immersive, and it's like you're in a sinking ship kind of situation. Very
Oh,
cool. Very cool.
wow, that is cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's another one that's wildly different. Space Mountain
Oh
is
yeah.
not wildly different, but I love how in Disneyland you can sit next to the person that you can sit next to someone. It's not a
Mm.
1-1-1 situation. We talked about this in our roller coaster episode where the Space Mountain cars in Disney World are pretty uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a smoother ride in Disneyland.
That is cool. I think Space Mountain being so uncomfortable is a pretty big deterrent for me riding it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely
Same.
be interested to experience it in a slightly more comfortable way.
Yeah. I'm going to jump back real quick, and hopefully this doesn't get us way off track. But so Disneyland is right across from, like, you just walk a little bit and you're there to Disney California Adventure, like I was saying earlier, and you can like wave to somebody from the turnstiles to get in one to the other, but also to the left, if you're coming out of California Adventure, there's downtown Disney right there.
Right.
So a thing that I am sad about is that our Disney Springs, which used to be downtown Disney, there's a so-called downtown Disney, but same basic idea, has some phenomenal restaurants.
Really?
But you have to, like, you can't work that into your Disney World vacation day very easily unless you have a ton of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
In Disneyland, I feel like you could pop out of Disneyland, go grab something to eat at downtown Disney, and pop back in without it being this hours long.
That's
detour.
Nice. Yeah. It really opens you up to not just theme park food.
Yeah, I think all the time when Jake and I are like, oh, what should we eat? Yeah, there are these great options in Disney Springs, but do we want to take like 4 hours out of our day to drive from Magic Kingdom?
If we're ever doing that, we're really only ending our night at Disney Springs. Right. Like, we're like, well, that's it. We're not going back into the parks.
You can't hop back. Yeah, no bouncing. Exactly.
Yeah, which is wild because I think Disney Springs has some of the best food in Walt Disney World.
And I think a lot of people miss out on it because if you're taking a vacation and you only have X amount of days, you don't really have time to miss that many hours to transport over there, go have your sit-down meal, which involves walking from getting transported and then go back and then go through security.
I wish it were closer, like in Disneyland. Oh, security. Should you talk about... I would love to know some of the, like, I hear that the security process in the Disneyland resort is slightly different than the Disney World experience right now.
Yes, the Disneyland security process is what we used to have. So it is dated a little bit. They don't have our new technology. So in Disney World, you walk through, I'm sure there's a name for this, what is way more than a metal detector.
An AI security scanner.
There you go. An AI security scanner that can detect if you have anything on you that you're not supposed to have. And then if you do, then you have to go have your stuff individually checked through, like combed through. There, they comb through everybody's stuff. There's no scanning your bag. There's a human going through everybody's bag, which really slows down the process. I also personally don't feel like that's as safe an option as, you know what I mean? I just feel like there's some human error that could be involved.
Of course.
If somebody's rushing, you know what I mean? And if you've got 1,000 people in line to go through security, I feel like you would rush.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they're not safe. I'm just saying the way that my brain works and the way that I think makes me feel like that's not as safe as what we have, where
very understandable.
I've got some artificial intelligence 100% positive whether you're carrying something and you're not supposed to carry. And whenever we bring our camera equipment, we get flagged to be personally searched.
Yeah.
Because we bring a ton of filming and camera equipment into the parks when Jake and I go do our vlogs, which we do restaurant reviews and stuff like that. And
on YouTube, Neverland Navigation Co. Subscribe.
Yeah. And so they do that, but only if this artificial intelligence thing flags you for it.
Right.
Our system is much faster.
Yeah, and I would say more, if it's faster and it's more advanced, I think they need to bite the bullet and just make it happen in Disneyland.
That being said, because the Downtown Disney and Disney California Adventure and Disneyland are all basically in the same space, you only have to go through security once for all of them.
That's huge.
It is huge. So while we have a faster security system, you essentially have to go through it every time you change parks. Is that true? Is that true across the board? Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to think, like when you go from Epcot to Magic Kingdom, I think you don't. But
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think
you're right about that. Yeah,
because when you go into Anyway,
Because transportation and ticket is in the bubble.
but most of the time, if you're hopping, you're going through security more than once.
It's true. Yeah.
And it's just it's that takes time.
It does. It takes, it's just a little added extra layer of something else you got to do.
They also, when they do it, they'll probably have to buy a lot less of those machines that you just identified.
Yeah.
Because they only have essentially one security checkpoint, and then they've got a couple of smaller ones. Like if you enter downtown Disney from the backside, that's a different security point. Or if you enter California Adventure from where the hotels are, like the Grand Californian Hotel, then that's a different security checkpoint. But it's teeny. It's like entering our Epcot from the back.
Yeah, or our resort checkpoints, which are also like the ones on the monorail route. Like they're super.
There's one to go through. Where if you're going into Magic Kingdom, Ticket and Transportation Center, or Animal Kingdom, or something like that, they've got a bunch set up.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
yeah.
It feels a lot more, like a big deal.
And they're doing that at our Disney Springs now, which I really appreciate.
For obvious reasons, I definitely value.
Yeah, we live in a scary world, and I really appreciate that I don't have to feel that way in Disney World. I don't have to feel
very safe.
I feel safest in Disney World. I feel safer in Disney World than I do in the mall.
Grocery store, school, any of that, I feel much safer in Walt Disney World. So.
Because of that.
Because of I have a lot of, not only do I have a lot of faith in
Mickey.
Yeah.
I do.
Mickey, sure, the brand of Disney World and the fact that they want to financially protect their reputation. But I also have a lot of faith in the idea that investing in advanced security technology is helpful to preventing incidents from occurring in the park.
Didn't you tell me that wasn't it you that told me that our at Disney World security system check is better than the airport? I think the machine.
I don't know.
I think I heard that the machine is either the same as or better than what they use at the airport.
I feel like the technology has to be at least similar because I know that rotating screener in airports is also AI based.
Yes.
So I feel like the thing that we walk through.
Somebody I talked to said it was either the same or better, but that doesn't mean it's true. But anyway.
Yeah, but like creating it's a detection system as opposed to I beep when there's metal.
I know.
Yeah,
right.
It's a huge difference.
And very, very good for someone like me that's diabetic or I have a monitoring system implanted in my arm all the time. It's metal to tell me how my blood sugar is, and
people who have had a hip replacement, a knee replacement,
all kinds of people can identify with this.
Bolts, wires,
but this AI thing doesn't.
No, it
doesn't
knows,
care about it. Yeah,
it knows that it is a hip replacement. It knows that it is a knee replacement. Like it can tell the difference between that and a knife or whatever.
So I appreciate that Disney spent, I'm sure, the kind of crazy money that they spent for this kind of security. Hopefully, Disneyland has that coming too.
Yeah, I would hope that as they begin this Disneyland 100 celebration, that is going to. From everything, it sounds like going to be equivalent or more of a big deal than the 50th anniversary we've just had here at Walt Disney World, that they would, in anticipation of those potentially higher crowds, maybe think now was a good time to ramp up security. I would have thought that would be, a good time.
Sure. The state that this country is in makes it a good time. But yeah.
Absolutely.
But to happier things. Not that wasn't happy, because how awesome is it to feel safe on your vacation?
I appreciate it, I think, more than
you even think about, which is great.
Disney is so dependent on immersion and the feeling of happiness, but also the feeling of being able to appreciate the details and the music and the smells and the sound, everything that goes into making your park experience. And I feel like that would be totally impossible without the feeling of safety.
Absolutely. That has to be first for me.
So with that being said, I would say it's the most important thing they could do. They could take every ride out and it would still not be nearly as impactful as saying we're not doing security today. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no chance that you can have Disney today without having advanced security screenings, in my opinion.
Yeah. So that was a thing. So yeah, they've got 2 parks where we've got 4, but I mean, they squeeze a lot into them.
It sounds like really Disneyland. They often, when the Walt Disney company talks about Walt Disney World, they talk about the blessing of size because we're so sprawling over here. But Disneyland, it's more of a cram job from what I've heard. There's a lot of like, not in a bad way, just in a way that like they really have to make sure they're getting square foot bang for your buck in a way that I feel like here in Walt Disney World, we're just like throwing space wherever. We've got closed pavilions.
Well, sure.
We've got spaces that are just totally unused.
But then you take a ride that people like and shut it down to return it into something else, and that irritates me.
But like we're closing rides here and opening meet and greets.
Yeah.
We're which is wild, but we're also like in Epcot, I feel like this is the biggest park where this is a thing. We're just kind of letting the Wonders of Life pavilion sit there. We're just letting space in the World Showcase be a snack stand that is vaguely themed to Africa. We're just kind of throwing space around over here. I feel like in Disneyland, that is not an option.
Right.
I feel like they are maximizing. If they have to take the Tower of Terror, they're taking the Tower of Terror so they can build the next
estate,
thing.
Which is a thing you say, right?
We don't appreciate our real estate.
Right.
We're letting the Tomorrowland Speedway exist. In the year of our Lord 2022.
Okay.
But at least that's the first one. At least that's Autopia.
Yes.
We've got kerosene in a can in like a go-kart.
It's true.
Trucking along down the track. Not that I'm saying Disneyland should keep their Autopia. I've never been, so if
you're fine with it coming out.
If that experience is similar to our Tomorrowland Speedway experience, I think they can both go. Or at least both be updated to electric cars or something. Self-driving cars, since that's the future of driving for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like that would make sense if that could be themed in a cool kind of futuristic way, almost in like a test track way where, or maybe they just need to fix test track and make that self-driving, and just completely get rid of the Autopia. But I am saying that is a huge example in Walt Disney World of how we just kind of let anything fly as long as, people ride it, it eats up people and it cuts down wait times for other things. Like, sure, keep it open.
Yeah.
We've got Stitch's Great Escape in Tomorrowland just being closed, and it has been closed for years now, like completely. The ride is just sitting in there, empty, not changed. Like that would never really happen.
I don't think that would happen there because they don't have the space to just let something sit.
Yeah. Exactly, and I actually really appreciate that about Disneyland because
it's a really good point.
It makes me feel like they're not just charging me the same park admission while just letting things that I used to be able to go on rot.
Right.
That doesn't feel nice to me as a pass holder.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm getting more value per square foot out of the experience.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
I'm down for that. I don't, there are things about Disneyland that I think the priorities there are nice. They also experience better discounts than us, right? Their pass holders get more options for discounts.
I definitely don't know the specifics on that, but
we're only Walt Disney World pass holders.
Yeah,
so.
right.
But yeah, I think that there in the past has been a little bit more of a, well, you can tell me. I've always heard Disneyland is a locals park. I've always heard that from the time I was young and hearing about other tourists in Walt Disney World telling me, I've been to Disney World and Disneyland. There are people from everywhere all over the world here at Disney World, and Disneyland, it's just Californians. What you've been multiple times now. What kind of sense for that legend have you gotten?
I don't think that that's something that you can really tell when you're walking around. So it's really hard to say.
Excuse me, are you from California?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you live here?
But I had heard that as well. So I kind of thought when we went mid-October that it wasn't going to be wildly busy. I also heard that because there's so much less it has so much less attendance. I thought that the lines wouldn't be as long, and that was just wrong. The lines were crazy. And maybe they get a lot of attendance because of all of their Halloween overlays that we don't get.
They turn the lights off in our Space Mountain.
Yep, that's what they do, and they say, "Hey, Halloween overlay," but they actually do stuff there. The Guardians Mission Breakout ride completely changes at night. They didn't turn the lights off.
Yeah,
spoiler alert.
They added content.
Yeah, they added content. Obviously, Haunted Mansion Holiday is giant, and then they've got a different Halloween party. I didn't experience it.
They've got Oogie Boogie Bash. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, very cool. And then there's like this giant thing of Oogie Boogie over the
an inflatable kind of thing, or
better than an inflatable, but yeah, very cool looking.
That is cool.
But anyway, so yeah, I don't know that I would know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I think there are some things that I think people may over sensationalize about the experience. So it's nice to talk to you and to be able to get a sense for what you actually feel when you're in the environment, because I feel like it can be a different story.
When we go to Disney World, I think a lot of the times I've got this feeling that I'm surrounded by pass holders. Do you not?
Oh, sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Because like, for example, the first time we went on like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm just saying that one because it's my favorite, but really because it's the newest.
Cosmic Rewind, yeah.
Yes, Cosmic Rewind in Disney World. When we went as pass holder previews, or the first time we went on it, maybe we didn't do, it doesn't matter. The first time we went on it, everybody was wildly excited and like shock. Like there's shock when you see like some of the pre-show.
Big
reactions.
Like
big reaction. But we've gone a lot since then. Not very much reaction from the entire crowd of people in there. Like everybody's been there, done that on their phone now. Even though like that pre-show is like mind-blowing.
I think with the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind one though, I do think that anything that has a virtual queue by nature does favor locals or people who have done the virtual queue already.
Yeah.
Because the virtual queue, we know people who have tried to do virtual queues for Rise of the Resistance, for Guardians, and they don't get in. We've done that and not gotten in.
Rise of the Resistance, though, the big shock factor.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it as often as I would think, which is why I always think I'm surrounded by pass holders that have been on everything.
I think in the virtual queue lines, you're always going to feel that because it favors...
Right.
Everyone around you is, someone who did the virtual queue correctly. So you automatically cut off a huge chunk of the population that most needs to understand the virtual queue.
Right.
Because we've all done it before, so we don't even need the virtual queue. We're like, whatever, this is a bonus experience for us.
Right.
The people who actually need to get on the ride, the people who are only there once, whatever, they are the least likely to experience the virtual queue attractions right now because it is complicated.
But you would think they would be doing the individual lightning lane.
You would think that is also a limited quantity offering. Those sell out. So, like, if everyone who doesn't know how to do the virtual queue tries to do the individual lightning lane, then they're all gone. By halfway through the day, you can't even get an individual lightning lane for any of these by 11 o'clock for a lot of these. So, like, and I'm talking about for each ride in Disney World, for each park, there is an individual lightning lane attraction where you basically say, yes, I will pay $15 for a fast pass to ride this ride.
Right.
So that for Hollywood Studios is Rise of the Resistance. For Epcot, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. For Magic Kingdom, it's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And for Animal Kingdom, it is Flight of Passage, Avatar. Now, that system, though, also exists in Disneyland. The virtual queues, the individual lightning lanes, that is all there. That used to be in Disneyland something called Max Pass, right? Did you ever get to experience Max Pass?
Yeah, I did that when we were there. We took a 5-day trip in 2018.
Wow, yeah.
Yep.
The world was so different.
The world was different. And I did that. I paid the money.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a big deal then because, well, we had fast passes still. Yeah. It was just different. It was different. And we were only there for 5 days.
Hey, remember Fast Pass Plus?
I do.
Don't you miss it every day?
I do miss it every day.
Morgan was my Fast Pass
yeah,
Plus, like,
I became an expert.
you did. We would be on Rock and Roller Coaster, and Morgan's like, "Yeah, I got these on the car ride here," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Yeah, I just know, like, I just pound the app, and I just know how to, do the stuff." And that experience is so gone. I mean, like,
No, you actually have to do that with Genie Plus now.
Well, I was just about to say that
You just have to
experience
pay
is
for
gone for free.
Yeah.
Because now you can have all that stress or all of that persistence, and now you also just have to pay the extra money for on your vacation to experience those things. But it sounds like in Disneyland you use Genie Plus to like extraordinary effect from what you told me.
I actually used
That,
Genie
to me,
Plus
is
in Disney
valuable.
World to extraordinary effect as well when we had my husband's cousin and his girlfriend in town, first Disney trip ever, really had no idea. They had
High stakes.
Yeah, they had no idea what to expect, or they didn't even have in their head, like, they didn't know what rides were there. So it was just like a
brand new.
Take us on whatever you think is good. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this.
Field day. Yeah.
So we did 4 parks in one day, and we did all of the major attractions except for Rise of the Resistance, which I just couldn't get in. I couldn't get in. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do everything in one day in Walt Disney World. I can't believe we did
you
what
almost
we did.
But you almost did. Like, the fact that you accomplished so much of what people try to accomplish in one day is honestly something that is a testament to the fact that I am glad that you are giving the internet advice about how to do Disney World.
You have to have somebody in your party. Yeah, I know. You have to have somebody in your party willing to basically be on their phone like the whole time, like, looking.
You have to have a mom friend, or you have to have a friend who is particularly with the planning process, because those are the people that are going to gravitate toward being on top of knowing the rules and also setting alarms in their phone for when you can book your next lightning lane.
Yes, you have to have alarms set, but you also don't want your alarm to ruin everybody's experience if you're on a ride. So do it on silent alarm, like a vibrate alarm.
Vibrate only alarm. Hot tip.
Like, if you are using Genie Plus and you want to go on Space Mountain in either park, and you look and it's not there, I think most people will go, "Oh man, we missed it." But really, you keep checking back. You're
not fighting hard enough.
Yes, and eventually somebody cancels and you can pick up their time slot. So
that's also kind of how our dining reservation system is on a longer scale, because like you can look for days and days and someone might drop a reservation.
I am planning my family's Disney World trip. They're coming from multiple places, and that is exactly how it is. And you have to be like constantly checking back, and you just have to have really good timing.
What was eating like in Disneyland though? Was that different? Like, was it the same? Like, you have to pound for dining reservations in Disneyland, or what?
So we had one day. So I did not, in this past trip, we had one day. So we didn't want to do a sit down because we didn't think we would have time for it and get to do everything we wanted to do. My priority list of rides that we wanted to do was pretty long.
Yeah. Understandably
yes,
so. Yeah.
They've got stuff we don't have, like the Indiana Jones ride even, but every Avengers campus was entirely new for us.
Stuff like the Matterhorn and like stuff that...
We did the Matterhorn.
But stuff that's been there for... Oh, yeah. But stuff that's been... Why do you regret it?
Because it's a really rickety ride, and I felt like I had a headache, and it's those cars like Space Mountain.
And on the last episode, on the roller coaster episode, we learned that's my favorite kind of ride. So
we will see.
Ready.
Gosh, we will see. I don't know if you would like it. I got wet.
We're gonna find out when we take our Neverland Navigation Co. Disneyland trip.
I think you'll like the Yeti though.
We'll find out. Who doesn't love a Yeti? And there's moves. So,
moves.
But
so we didn't do. But I have done dining before. Okay, and here's another thing.
Where'd you eat?
You mean in past trips?
Whenever.
Like the Bayou restaurant, which overlooks Pirates of the Caribbean, Blue Bayou, right?
Blue Bayou.
That is a gorgeous restaurant, and you get to watch the ride boats go by
in a San Angel way.
Yes, if you're familiar with Disney World in the Mexico Pavilion, San Angel, you can watch the Mexico. It is very similar, like wildly similar.
Awesome.
And it's got like an upscale Louisiana, New Orleans kind of food.
Cajun.
Yes.
Yeah, gumbo and jambalaya.
Sometimes.
Yeah. No.
So, but that one, this is a tip. If you are going to Disneyland, you have to book first thing. Like you have to book that
Quick to go.
if you're like 60 days in advance, if that's what's allowed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's allowed. I think that's what's allowed now.
Yeah.
And you need to find out what hour they will open. Like that books up within an hour. We were originally planning on taking my entire family, like my siblings and my parents, and going to Disneyland this year. That got pushed back to next year.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's like, "Who's getting up at 5 a.m. to get these?" And I was like, it's me.
It's not even a question. It's not.
and
even
I think that's 2 a.m. here, but that's okay.
You're right.
Or am I opposite?
No, I think you're right.
No, it might be.
Wait. No, 2 a.m.
It doesn't matter.
Wow. Yeah. We're good at Disney World. We're not good at directions or time. So if you ever need to know which
I just
you know what we're really good at
for a second. If it's 5 a.m. there, it's 8 a.m.
You know what we're really good at? Directions in Walt Disney World.
Oh, heck yeah.
Which is wild because Morgan and I are the kinds of people that like aren't super great with like street directions, I would say.
Yes.
But when you put me in Hollywood Studios, not only can I tell you exactly how to get everywhere you need to go, I'll tell you the back way, I'll tell you the side way. Like it's so funny that the things that you are like really committed to and passionate about, I can see the blueprint of the park in my mind.
I know,
you know what I mean?
And
I'm like, why can't I drive? Like, why can't I experience this in like more practical ways in my life?
One of a game that Jake and I like that we are crazy good at is this like where in the world Walt Disney, where somebody will like post a photo.
I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
And Morgan playing this we do this when we're waiting to be seated at restaurants, when we're in lines for things. I'm like, this is my favorite thing ever because it was like made for me.
It like shows you a tile on the floor somewhere and is like, where was this photo taken?
And we almost always know.
We know it.
Because we have
but I cannot tell you how to get anywhere around me, really. I mean, the like
I can't get to the bank.
I regularly go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can get you to the grocery store. I can get you to where I work. I can get you to that. But if you're talking about, this restaurant is across from here. It's right
do you know this road and this road? No.
No.
I've heard of them.
No, I don't.
Do they intersect at some point?
Yeah, sure. Right. Exactly. So, like, yeah, it's funny how well do you feel like you got the lay of the land of Disneyland? Did you get it quickly, or did you feel like you were still really finding your way? Did you ever get lost?
We took what I would consider a long way around one time, and I was like, this is not the way we should have gone. And it was back in the super California part of California Adventure.
The front.
No, it's like kind of back and to the right where the Rapids ride is.
Oh, the Grizzly.
Yeah,
Grizzly
and Soarin's over there.
Yeah.
And a lot of that area just looks the same
Nature-y,
to me. Yeah. And so we wound up a long way around. But I feel like I picked it up pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
But of course not like here.
Not like we've been here for 20 years.
Here I'll go. Somebody will be like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, do you want to go to this one that's right there? Do you want to go down till we get to this land because that one's nicer?
I went to a bathroom.
Or if you want to go to this one, then
in
Disney World?
In Disney World.
What?
Can you believe?
No.
I didn't even know. I knew these bathrooms existed, but I kept thinking to myself, when people talk about that, where are they talking about? Have you ever been to the Journey into Imagination bathrooms?
Actually, I'm not sure, but we almost never go over there.
They are, if you go to the pyramids where you walk into the ride.
Yeah, over on the
the way to the right and around, there are bathrooms in there that you have to walk like 10 minutes to get to. I've never been in them before, and I was like...
Was there anybody else back there?
There were two guys
So not very many people know about it. Was it clean?
It was decently clean.
This is how my mind works. Because I want to go...
clean.
Okay, I want to go to the ones that aren't as crowded, so I don't have to stand in the line, but are cleaned regularly. So
the worst bathrooms in Walt Disney World. Wow, we are talking about such a different topic.
Went way off track.
The worst bathrooms in Walt Disney World are the ones in between Frontierland and Adventureland.
I think Ticket and Transportation Center.
Oh, you know what? I take it back. Those are so bad.
How do they always smell so bad? I get it's a bathroom. Don't tell me it's a bathroom. I know.
But also they're like by the bus stop, and they're not in a good location, and they're bad.
Yeah.
They're like a 0 out of 10.
In between, where were you saying? In between
Frontierland and Adventureland, there's that little there's like a sunglasses hut over there and
Right.
stuff. There's that little changeover, like you're
That
walking
area is
towards
so weird.
that area. Not only is it so weird, but those bathrooms are like, I went into those bathrooms one time and there was literally like, it was such a disaster. And I'm just,
I am pretty sure when my sister was working there that she told me that, maybe I heard this from somebody else, that somebody, and like there was a little baby alligator in that bathroom. Yeah, I'll look it up later.
oh no.
Yeah, it's a weird area.
That would never happen in Disneyland.
But so there were a few times where like I was like, oh, I need to go to the restroom. Oh my God, where do I go? But you know, so that was like a weird, oh wow,
a weird thing to feel in a Disney park.
Because I was just like, oh, I know where every bathroom in
This
all
is
of Walt Disney
information
World.
that's like in my DNA. I can't believe I don't know.
Yeah, but
That's
Adventures Campus was completely new for us.
Well, it's completely new to everyone.
Well, okay, but not the locals.
You're right. Like, I'm sure, well, yeah, because, like, Galaxy's Edge we even know pretty well now. So, like, yeah.
I didn't actually even, in Disneyland, we didn't go into Galaxy's Edge because it is carbon copy for hours.
There's, like, literally the difference is, like, there's slightly different paint on some of the rock work. Like, it's literally that minute of difference. So honestly, for that, I'm thinking on my first trip to Disneyland, I think I'm just skipping it.
Just skip it because we go all the time.
And also, the rides are both exactly the same.
Carbon copy.
So like that to me, I wouldn't waste my time on that.
Yeah, same.
But like when it comes to like, it used to be Tower of Terror, now it's Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm running.
That's probably my favorite ride in that whole area still, because this was the original for me, the original Guardians ride, right? Because it opened way before our Cosmic Rewind, which just opened this year. Mm-hmm. And that the feeling of laughing and jamming along to the songs that they're playing and being on a thrill ride is just like the best thing that's ever happened.
Right.
So,
and that's the magic that works for ours too. It's just a different thing. It's a different ride system. It's a different experience. But the comedy plus thrill plus music equation is the same thing
and that equation works really well for me. Yeah. And obviously a lot of people. But
yes. And it's also weirdly kind of the same as Rock and Roller Coaster. It's just not as much humor. But it's the combination of the thrill and the music there.
And that's a good ride too.
Yeah.
The Monsters After Dark, I didn't like the song. It wasn't like, you know how the Guardian songs are all the 70s? Mm-hmm. It's 70s, right?
Yeah, like 70s into
late 60s, early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
That the song, you knew the song, right?
Monsters After Dark.
Is it called Monsters After Dark?
It is.
It's not a song I'm familiar with.
And the lyrics are literally Monsters After Dark.
Monsters After Dark. And it's like a punk. Would you call it like a punky kind
I would call it like an industrial rock kind of sound. And it is like, in my opinion, it is.
When I first came off of it, I was like, that was like Screamo or something. And then my husband's like, you don't know what Screamo is. And I was like, okay, well, it was a little intense of a song for me is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't mind its intensity.
But the story for Monsters After, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm just
please.
So excited.
I've never ridden the ride, so I've only heard this like crunchy audio of like the song itself, which I was going, I do a Halloween party every year, and I was going through and making a Halloween playlist for this Halloween party, and I was looking for Disney stuff to add to it, of course, because that's who I am, and I remembered that there was the Monsters After Dark song, and I listened to it, and I was like, this ride better be amazing, because this song is like...
Yeah, and so do you know the story, or should I not give a spoiler?
I vaguely, the only thing I know about this story is the setup of it, the log line of it, which is, it's a continuation of Mission Breakout.
Which is where you're trying to break out of you're trying to break the Guardians out of the Collector's Fortress with Rocket. Rocket's helping you.
Right, and then this is basically a part 2 where they realize, oh no, we've got to go back in because we left
baby Groot.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a great setup. I know nothing about the ride experience. Like,
and then there's
or even
jokes,
why it's
like
called
Rocket's...
Monsters After Dark. I don't know anything about the monsters, so nothing there. But like as far as like a setup goes, I think that's a great concept
it's fantastic
for a ride. Yeah,
and I'm so thrilled that it was like different.
Last question for you.
Okay.
Disneyland.
All
I ever hear, churros and corn dogs and everything's delicious for snacks. Did you eat snacks in Disneyland?
Yeah, because we didn't do for this past one, we did not do a sit down. So we only ate a quick serve, maybe 2 quick serves and snacks.
How are the snacks?
So good.
Really?
Yes.
That good?
So my favorite thing there that I wish was anywhere else is this giant macaroon, or I might be pronouncing that wrong. Which is funny because it's like my favorite cookie and I make them, but I realized I went with my brother to a macaroon store that was French and
Macaron.
yeah, and that the guy was trying to tell me how to say it, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna stick.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, it's this giant.
You're like, good for you.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to say that. I do. I really want that to come out of my mouth.
It's not gonna happen, yeah.
But it's a giant version of a macaroon, but it's Mickey shaped and it's like raspberry pink colored.
Oh yeah.
There are actual physical raspberries on it.
This is Jolly Holiday.
Jolly Holiday on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to have that. That's amazing. We got a Fruity Pebbles flavored churro. That
Oh
was amazing.
my gosh, that sounds good.
Pim's Kitchen is in Avengers Campus, which is based on the whole Ant-Man story and the Pim particles that can either make something giant or shrink it down.
Yeah.
So when you walk
I've seen
in there,
pictures of this.
yeah, it's like there's a conveyor belt of pretzels going by, and then they go through like a screen thing, and then when they come out, they're giant pretzels.
Awesome.
And you can get a salad with like this giant crouton on top, or we got a chicken sandwich where there was this giant piece of chicken and then this small slider like bun. You know what I mean? Everything is crazy, either huge or small.
Cool.
Actually, a combination of both, but also the food was really good.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, there was
It's funny, sometimes I feel like it's one or the other.
I know. I feel like that a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Sci-Fi, I know I was just talking about this the other day. And to be fair, I haven't been to Sci-Fi Diner in Hollywood Studios in like 6 years. So if it got better, definitely hit us up on Instagram and let us know. But last time I was there, food terrible, ambiance amazing.
Yeah. That is a popular combination in Walt Disney World, although there are some exceptions.
There are definitely exceptions.
Like, we recently did Space 220 again, and we were impressed by both the ambiance and the quality of the food. So,
absolutely.
okay, there you go.
But so this Pim test kitchen is super, super amazing, and the food was good. I guess quick serves aren't as cheap as I always think they're going to be because we spend a ton of money. But there's also an area that is like it's made to look like San Francisco. So, and we had just been to San Francisco, so it was fun because you could get like bread bowls of soup, which is the San Francisco sourdough is their thing. There's a Chinese restaurant, which San Francisco has like the biggest Chinatown in I think all of the US. It's stuff like that, just fun stuff. I didn't try a corn dog, but my brother has raved about them.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. My brother and sister-in-law lived in Portland, Oregon, and they would go to Disneyland like at least once a year.
Aww.
So they're really the experts when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I hear is the snacks.
Have you heard any specific ones that other than the ones I mentioned?
No, churros and corn dogs.
They have lots of churros. And
I've seen
in
merch.
Our Disney parks, we don't have very many churros. It's so weird.
But like people say that ours are so much worse than Disneyland. So like I think that's why, because they're not like part of the the lore. Here, like all the snack merch is like
Bingo Barbecue too.
What is that?
It's a quick serve kind of counter.
Is this California Adventure? What is this?
No, this is Disneyland. It's right across from Indiana Jones.
What is the first word? Bingo?
Bingo, yeah.
Like the tiger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it fits with that theme really well. And they've got like meat skewers.
Oh, yeah. So it's like that's very Indiana Jones.
Yes, exactly. I love the theming of it. When we went this time, we stopped there. It took forever. I think that it was just really popular at that moment. Like I said, we did not go at a slow time, but Genie Plus really helped us out.
Wow.
And you actually, here's a quick tip. If you're going during the Halloween season, which I get that we're past that right now, but still, this just in case this helps somebody, you can get the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout Genie Plus during the day, and you can book a Monsters After Dark at night.
Oh,
which
cool.
Every other ride, you're only allowed to do it once.
One go around.
Yeah. And also, if you are staying at one of their hotels, I would definitely recommend going in the 30 minutes early.
Oh, early magic hours. That's the same for us.
Same for us, exactly. We walked onto the Spider-Man ride, which is their newest ride, I believe.
Amazing.
And we went on Guardians, the Guardians so that we went on Guardians 3 times in
Whoa.
our one day where we did almost everything. But that was because of Genie Plus, not because of lack of crowds. We waited in almost no lines.
So long story short, when I go to Disneyland, I'm going with Morgan because she's got the tips. But also,
I would rather get up at 7:30 or get up at 6:30 and get there at 7:30 and do that and then take a nap. Disneyland is open later than Disney World.
Yeah.
And I wish we were open later.
I hope that
they're open till like midnight or 1.
I would love for us. There were times when Magic Kingdom would be open until midnight.
I know.
Years ago.
If it's a locals park, then why are they getting to be open that late? And we are almost everything is closed at 9.
But I almost feel like that's part of it because after work they're popping over to Disneyland.
Okay, maybe. We do that.
I want that. But I want that until midnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I hate that we close down at 9.
Shut down the park so often. Like
yes.
We have been the last people leaving Disney parks so many times just because we're trying to eat dinner and maybe ride something, maybe watch the fireworks. Like we're trying to get a little Disney day out of a half day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
we're not really morning people, so we're gonna do the second half.
Right, and we're down to like be out.
I
late.
love the lights of Disney at night.
Me too. It adds so much.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, they win that for sure. And there's more stuff that I actually wanted to discuss about Disneyland, that like nighttime entertainment parades. They've got a lot of.
We did World of Color. It was a virtual queue.
Oh, I wish we had that.
I do too.
Especially for like the Magic Kingdom fireworks show, because like that one you could really benefit from like a specific viewing area without anything in front of you.
Yes.
If they could do that with a virtual queue, I would do it all the time.
Listen to how it worked too. Do we have time for me to? We can.
Yeah.
You guys don't mind us going a little over, right?
Right. Surely.
So with the virtual queue, you get a color, and then like people are holding up different colors, and the light posts have different colors. So like we got blue, I think, or whatever we got. And so you go to the person with the sign that says blue and you go to that area. Well, a bunch of other people got orange and a bunch of other people got yellow. That way it's not like, oh, here, these 5,000 people got a virtual. I don't know how many people actually they even give them to, but these 5,000 people got a virtual queue. Now they're all going to be in the same spot.
And is there like, so is it a lot of people do the virtual queue and they go to their spots, and there's everyone who doesn't have a virtual queue has their own slightly worse section?
Yeah, it's like Epcot.
Oh,
it's
is like that.
You just go wherever then. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You could still watch it. You just have to watch
it.
But
the good spots are
up
virtual
against
queue.
The water are virtual queue, and their color. And their virtual queue, you don't have to get at 7 a.m. You get it at like 1 p.m., I think. Or maybe it was noon. Actually, now I think it's noon.
And I bet it's pretty easy to get a spot because there's a lot of the different colors that you can like.
Yeah.
There's multiple different colors.
And it was just so well organized that I was like, do you guys not communicate? Like the people that run Disneyland and the people that run Disney World, can you get together?
They have the same vice president.
Well, so some people are not talking.
Yeah, right. They're not getting that memo. I would love if because they could so easily. I mean, the hub of Magic Kingdom is already divided into pieces, so it makes so much sense to me to have that virtual queue like experience.
Not enough though for Magic Kingdom. Do you think?
No, I don't think. I also think maybe the time has come that we. I don't know how feasible this is, but I think the time has come that we make Main Street. This is a wild idea, but follow me.
Okay.
They make the buildings on Main Street.
I have a level on top.
Have a level.
Oh my god! I was just thinking that. That's why I gave you that look. I was like, "Is he going to say what I've been thinking?" I have been thinking this, and then I'm like, "I don't know if it's possible, so it's not even worth."
They are buildings. I think that you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like they
have a viewing
flat
area
roofs.
from up there.
I think the time has come that becomes either a virtual queue, or I feel like they would charge for that. If that's what the fireworks party was,
right? I know. I don't think it could be. I thought maybe it's a safety issue, but it couldn't be that, right? Because,
railing.
Railing, and they were going to give us a 2-story viewing platform in Epcot.
Yeah, I
got scrapped.
I think like plexiglass and railing solves that problem pretty handsomely. I think the only thing about it is that you've got like Main Street is long, and you've got people right in front of each other, one in front of each other, in front of each other. So I think the viewing area,
but it still just gives you a whole nother, and Yeah, I still think it would at least give you more.
Right, and I think even if you did the back half of Main Street, just like each side of that, be
even
a
if that's where
viewing
you put
area.
the dessert party, which would make it way higher value.
Way better.
You know what I mean? I would
Main
be
Street
way more likely
Terrace,
to do it.
you know,
Yes.
whatever, and make it pretty up there first of all,
Right.
and offer, you know, either a paid or a lightning lane or a virtual queue experience for that. I mean,
you could also do the hub.
I would be all over.
Oh, me too. I would too. Yeah.
But anyway, I feel like we need to do another Disneyland episode at some point because I feel like we haven't covered everything.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about all the different rides.
But that is something that if you guys would like to see, then you can absolutely let us know. Let us know on our social medias, Neverland Navco.
I don't think there's a way to comment on the podcast other than leaving us a review, which
right. If you're watching the YouTube video, you can the YouTube version, then you can comment there, or you can let us know on our Instagram or TikTok. And we also have our website, neverlandnavigation.co. That's where you can find all of our socials, access the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
But it's also where Morgan writes her blog, where she talks about different experiences from around Disney World from her own perspective, which is a really great read if you're looking for reading material about the parks. And we also have some really fun Disney shirts that you can grab, right?
Yep, on Etsy. The store is called Neverland Navigation.
And finally, thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate the fact that some people have found this podcast and are seemingly enjoying kind of following along with our conversations because it is one of our favorite things to do. If you guys would be so kind as to leave a review if you're enjoying the podcast, then that helps us continue to do this in a huge way. So we would really appreciate that. But other than that, just thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you on our next adventure. Goodbye.
Bye.